Hey guys, my name is Taylor Smith, and I chose to do my project on a close family friend named Radha Adani. This is the story of an Indian American. The Adani family is from Ludhiana, India, which is right at the top of India. The family's pushes were that her father's business was overrun by bigger companies moving into their city, and they wanted a better opportunity for their family to do great things in life. The family's pulls were that America had more options for jobs, and they had better schooling opportunities for Radha and her sisters. The process of leaving India. Mr. Adani went first in 1979, and when he got to Chicago, he applied for LPR, which are green cards, for his wife and 4 daughters. Mr. Adani had to prove that he could financially support his family before the paperwork could be processed according to the U.S. laws. Radha, her sisters, and their mother took a 6-hour train ride to New Delhi, where the U.S. Embassy was. The Adani women did not have a long wait for their interviews. They received their visas on the first visit, which was impressive because for some people, the wait time was about 10 years. Coming to Chicago, Radha's grandparents went to India to help with the transition. Radha, her mother, her grandparents, and sisters left on July 2nd of 1981. They flew out of New Delhi, India on KLM Airlines to Amsterdam, then from Amsterdam to O'Hare, Chicago. Radha remembers there being a distinct smell when she got off the plane. She says that it wasn't a bad smell, but it was very distinct. Radha did not like living in the suburbs of Chicago because it was too quiet and too American. Radha also did not like that she only saw Caucasian people around her home. She did not like that she was the only ethnic face that she saw. Radha had completed her 8th grade year in India, so she was to begin high school in America. She took many ESL courses, which were classes for students where English was their second language. She took extra English classes for many summers to get into all regular courses because she wanted to make more friends. At the time, she was only friends with other Indian kids or other kids from her ESL classes. Grasping the culture. Radha used to watch 2 classic American shows to pick up on the culture and the language. She used to watch The Cosby Show and The Brady Bunch every chance she got. Radha's citizenship. After 25 years of being here in America with an LPR, Radha finally decided to become a naturalized citizen. She says she had always planned to, but she kept putting it off. But when 9/11 occurred, it was a wake-up call to get it done, just in case. Today, Radha is happily married and has been for a while. She has 2 beautiful sons, one is 14 and one is 6. She also resides in the North Chicago suburbs.
My name is Sayosha Williams, and I'm doing my project on Sikh Indians. Early immigration. Immigration from India started in the late 1800s and lasted until the 1917 Asiatic Bharat Zone. The early immigrants were Sikh Indians that came from Punjab region of India. Pushes. The country was in an economic crisis in the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. The economic conditions dropped even more after the annexation. There was a lack of land and their wages never exceeded 10 cents a day. It was hard for the Sikh men to feed their families. The pulls were advertisement, jobs, higher wages, and hearing good news from other immigrants. The Punjab people learned from the Americans and Canadian travelers that there were plenty of work and that they can make $2 to $2.50 a day. First wave of immigration. There was 2 waves of immigration. The first wave started around 1899. The first wave of immigrants consisted of Sikh men and their young sons. They immigrated to Vancouver, Canada to find jobs. They worked in the lumber yards. There were so many Sikh men working in the lumber yards in Canada that the Canadian men started to push them out. The Sikh men immigrated to America after facing discrimination from the Canadian working men. The immigration started around 1903. Settling in America. The Sikh men settled in California, Washington, and Oregon. Their jobs. They worked in the lumber mills, building railroads, and forestry. The men were unskilled but were favored by employers because they were hardworking and they worked for cheap. The first wave of immigration ended after 1917. The Asiatic Barred Zone Act of 1917 banned immigration from certain areas defined by longitudinal and latitudinal zones. The second wave of immigrants were Indian students, mostly college students. Their pushes, better education. Indians weren't qualified as Caucasians, so they weren't able to become U.S. citizens. Bygott served in the U.S. Army in July 1918. After the war, he sought for citizenship and earned citizenship in Washington, December 1918. Days later, his citizenship was revoked because he was not qualified as a white man. Bygott took his case to the federal courts, which led him to the Supreme Court. In 1923, the Supreme Court denied all Indian citizenship because they are not Caucasians. On July 2, 1946, the Immigration Quota Bill granted Indians the right to become citizens, with an annual quota of 100. Sikh Indian today. In 2008, based on American Religious Identification Survey, there is an estimate of 78,000 Sikh adults. The 2012 survey of Asian Americans estimated that there are 140,000 Sikh adults in the U.S.